everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 161 in year 4, and today is another one of those podcasts where we do not have a lot to talk about, but we're probably going to give you a close to 3-hour show, because that is just what happens around here on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. But I think today we're going to go ahead and talk about Leonardo Dicaprio Batman. And everybody's gonna be like, what the hell? What are you talking about, Leonardo DiCaprio Batman? So this is kind of a stretch when it comes to some information. But recently, there was like this expose or this big article on Christian Bale. And he came out and said that anybody in Hollywood that has gotten amazing roles is thanks to Leonardo DiCaprio because he's passed on every single one of them. So apparently Leo, and I've heard this rumor about Leo before. I don't know if you've ever heard about it as well, Clay, but he just gets everything offered to him, every single movie.
That's
like doesn't even matter.
I mean, it makes sense and it doesn't make sense all at the same time. Just because you see movies like, of course, the things that made him super big. When he was younger, there was what's that movie called?
Gilbert Grape or something like that?
Gilbert Grape.
I don't know the word yet.
Then there was Titanic. And then I think either before or after Titanic, there was Romeo and Juliet. And then you have things that he goes like way off the beaten path with, like The Revenant was his most recent one that won him the Oscar.
Well, he disappeared for a while.
He did disappear for a while.
That.
Yeah.
And then he came back with The Departed, and everybody's like, oh my God, Leo's back!
Dude, that movie was so fucking good.
Yeah, that movie was fire. That put him right back on the map. I was just like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
It was a good fucking film. But yeah, so like going through this, I mean, Christian Bale says like, thank you, Leo. Like he literally says that. He was like, I think he even said at one point he was thinking about, I don't know if he said he was thinking about quitting, but he was just kind of talking about like, yeah, I just didn't think anything was going to happen. And then I think he got like a specific role. But if this is true, what Christian Bale is saying, that means that Leo has more than likely been offered Batman at one point.
Yeah.
And I just want to get the idea of how would Leonardo DiCaprio be as Batman? You know what I mean? Because he's the last person I think of, not the last person, but one of the last people I think of as fucking Bruce Wayne or Batman.
See, I think of when I think Leo as Batman, I kind of think of either Val Kilmer or George Clooney. Because you're like, okay, would they really be a Batman? And they were,
Yeah. That's true.
You look at Val Kilmer. You look at Val Kilmer, you look at his early days, he has like some of the like comedy stuff.
But he was in Top Gun though.
He was in Top Gun. He was also in that spy movie. I can never remember the spy movie that he was in, which was freaking hilarious. But you get those movies, right? And you're like, okay, he kind of has what it takes to possibly be a comic book action star. And then you see him in freaking, what was it, Batman and Robin, right? Or is it Batman Forever? It is Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Because Batman Forever introduces Robin, and then the next movie is Batman and Robin. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think he would be kind of in that type of casting where it's just like nobody would really probably believe it until you see him on screen. You're like, oh, like shit.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
But I'd say Ben Affleck was more because everybody hated Daredevil. And everybody was like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I think Ben Affleck got a lot of heat. But I also think at the time, too, Ben Affleck wasn't regarded as a great actor. This is regarded as a great director.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's ever been like, oh my God, he's an amazing actor. But I think he's like gotten a lot better over the years.
Yeah.
Because he's always used to play the Boston guy, He's just like fucking Mark Wahlberg and his twin. What's it, Matt Damon or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting stuff, but it has been rumored that DiCaprio has a no superhero movies clause. Like he doesn't do that. That's like his goal. Which is kind of crazy. Well, he apparently is mentoring Timothée Chalamet, and he told him he got some advice. He was like, "Don't do superhero movies and something else." He said 2 things.
Yeah,
and I mean, I can understand it if you're trying to be like an avant-garde I am the best actor, like I'm highly respected,
Yeah.
which I think Leonardo DiCaprio is. And maybe he doesn't. You would think Leonardo DiCaprio would do superhero movies because he only hangs out with people that are under 25. So like, you would think that, but I just don't
I get what you're
understand.
saying with that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think he's one of those classic people that just loves acting, I think,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, I have to do it." But I mean, the way they did The Dark Knight and even The Batman recently, even though we didn't like it, those are fucking cinematic films. Like I would see it as a challenge as an actor, not like, "Oh my god, this is going to ruin my career." You know what I mean?
I think that's how both Christian Bale and now Pattinson kind of thought about it. Like, yeah, you could look into the aspect of, hey, it's Batman, and we saw
Yeah.
Pattinson's interviews saying like, oh, this is kind of like the dream job, this is kind of something
Yeah.
that I would love to do, type of thing. So I could see.
Christian Bale said the same thing.
Oh, did he?
He said that because everybody told him, they're like, "Don't do it. Why would you do this? You're gonna be forever known as Batman." He was like, "That's awesome." He was, "If I could be a part of history that people are always like, I'm known as this thing, that is great." And he was like, "And if I can't get out of the shadow of the Batman, I don't fucking deserve to get out of the shadow of the Batman."
God damn.
So straight up, just like slapped, fucking was it Christopher Eccleston in the face, who thought like, "Oh, I didn't want to be typecast as Doctor Who the
Yeah.
whole time." Like, I think David Tennant has got out of it. I mean, I think he's always going to be known as the Doctor, but I think people have taken him serious in other roles.
Oh yeah, I think there's plenty of other roles that
That's
people
it too.
that have become so big for Tenet that people don't immediately think of the Doctor now.
Yeah,
Because of there is the
Jessica Jones.
is it Good Omens
Aquaman.
or
Something like that. It's the Devil Show, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the Amazon show. So there's that. There is Jessica Jones, there's Broadchurch.
Broadchurch.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of good shows that Tennant has been a part of that people are like, "Oh yeah, him." And then there's a whole community with Harry Potter that immediately think of him when it comes to those movies as well. So
yeah,
I think he has gotten out of that shadow as well. But Leo as Batman, man, I think I would love to see it.
yeah.
I think I genuinely think now I think more so it would be weirder nowadays to look back at it just because we see and we see it a lot, right? Once you see a director, an actor, and like an ensemble cast work together, they're like, we need to do this again. And then they'd make
Yeah.
another movie. And Nolan, freaking DiCaprio, Kane, and what's his name, freaking Scarecrow, they were all part
Mhm.
of Inception, dude. So like,
You're forgetting Robin as well.
oh
Gordon Levitt.
yeah, Levitt also. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It would have been back
yeah. It
to
would
back
be
to back.
yeah. Wait, you said Bane, right?
Oh, he was in there too? Oh
Yeah.
shit.
they all kind of work together. They all do the same shit. Everybody forget. I think people, because like Inception has gotten to the point where people are like, ugh, everybody that says Inception's a great film is like these film snobs. And they're like, ugh. Like it's gotten so popular that people hate it now, which I
Yeah.
think is so stupid. And I'm like, dude, Inception was a film that you could say in a long time that changed. I don't want to say changed the film genre, but made it like well known. Like, look, you have to go watch this. And I don't think there's a lot of films like that anymore. And Inception was one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
It put Nolan on the map. I think more so than the Batman, in my opinion.
I could believe that.
Because I think a lot of people go watch Batman because it's Batman, right? And again, Ledger was the one that made that whole series. So like he probably put him on the map, but I think as a director, I think Inception is what made Christopher Nolan, in my opinion. Because I remember seeing that movie for free and I freaked out about it. I thought it was fucking amazing. Went to go see it opening night. There was some dumbasses in the crowd that wanted to get into a fight and they all got kicked out. And then we just watched the rest of the movie. It was awesome. So yeah, I absolutely love that film. I think it's great. But yeah, I don't know. Leo as Batman would be very interesting. But moving on to somebody else who talked about possibly getting an audition for the Batman is Pierce Brosnan. How would you feel about a Pierce Brosnan Batman?
I don't know how I feel about this because you very quickly said this right before you even press record, like almost immediately, and it didn't even get my brain to even process this.
Yeah,
Pierce Brosnan as Batman.
yeah. So he talked about this recently on, I think, The Tonight Show. And he said, I went up for Batman way back in the day when it was Tim Burton doing it. I remember saying something stupid to Tim Burton, like I can't understand any man who would wear his underpants outside his trousers. And that kind of, I think, solidified that they were like, maybe he's probably not the best to do Batman.
Well,
So,
I mean, honestly, you look at fucking 007, man. You look at
yeah,
007, that is Bruce Wayne, you know?
yeah, for sure.
And you could definitely see him as a Bruce Wayne. Can I see him as a Batman though? That's the
I mean,
hard one.
wasn't he part of the Bond films with Halle Berry? She was Catwoman before, even though it was a terrible film.
True, true.
You know, I think any woman that was his counterpart in any of those movies could have probably been Catwoman at that time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
I could totally
because he
see that.
worked with Denise Richards, I think, and I forgot who else he worked with. But like, it's you don't really. I don't know if this is because the times changed, but like I feel like the Bond girl doesn't exist anymore. The Bond girl was like an iconic role
Oh
back in
yeah.
the day, but not so much anymore. And I think it's because people are like, oh, I don't know if they consider it misogynistic or what the terminology would be nowadays. But I feel like there's plenty of people that would still love to be a Bond girl. You know what I mean? And I think, and I know people might take it out of context because I haven't seen the new ones, so I'm pretty sure there still is the Bond girl stereotype. I don't even know if it would be a stereotype, but the main lead actress is the Bond girl, right? She's just
Yeah.
probably more of a badass now. She's just not viewed as they were back in the day. And I think back in the day, they were made to be more like sexually objectified in the movies, but they were still badasses, in my opinion. So, but yeah, you just don't really get that vibe anymore. But yeah, Pierce Brosnan and Leonardo DiCaprio, possibly Batmans in the past, which would have been very interesting. Pierce Brosnan, I think, would have probably been a good Batman, I think.
I
So,
I think if we would given him a shot, see, I think Pierce Brosnan Batman would be more like the Ben Affleck Batman. Like
maybe.
he has all this fame beforehand, and you're like, maybe not. And I feel like a lot of people were kind of on the opposite with Ben Affleck. They're like, oh, maybe he could be a good Batman, but I don't think he's going to be a good Bruce Wayne, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it would be the opposite for Pierce. I think he would be a really good Bruce Wayne, very suave, be able to kind of, do the Bruce Wayne thing because of what we saw with Bond. But again,
Yeah.
I need to see a professional mock-up as young Brosnan as Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be very interesting. But we'll never know. Alternate universe, if we die and we get sent to another one, maybe we'll be able to see that. Yeah, that would be a weird concept of time, right? Like you die, you basically live the same years you lived,
But
but
just
in
in
a
a
different
different
situation. You
multiverse.
know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Like if you die, you go back to the year you were born in another multiverse, and you live it out where Pierce Brosnan is Batman,
Instead of
or
Keaton.
where fucking Al Gore won the presidency. You live every opposite different thing. That would be I wonder if there's ever been a story made like that. Dibs. Don't steal my idea, people.
Dibs.
Copyrighted Batman News Weekly. Copyright 2022.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I don't know if there's ever been a story like that. That'd be an interesting concept where you just relive like opposite
I wouldn't
shit.
mind seeing that in the DC universe.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say there would be a universe where the DC used the biggest thing and not Marvel.
Not Marvel.
It's all good DC films. But speaking of the DC universe, well, actually, it's a lie, not the DC universe, but the Matt Reeves verse. We've gotten some information about the Penguin series, and it seems like we are going to be. Well, it's been revealed that this is going to take place a week after the Batman, and Colin Farrell has said that there is an opening scene where the Penguin is in Falcone's office, and there's still water in the place. So he's like pitter pattering in water.
Yeah.
So it seems like I mean, how do you feel about it being a week after the movie?
I think this is a smart move only because from where we saw the movie, again, we understood that there was some things in that movie that didn't really vibe with us. But there
Yeah,
was a lot, or I won't say a lot, there was things in the film that we personally enjoyed. And I think doing this with the Penguin character, because there's that scene where he basically looks like he has the upper hand,
yeah,
when they're about to arrest Falcone and everything else, he's calling him a snitch and all this other stuff. He kind of looks like the big guy on campus in front of Falcone's place, right? So I
yeah.
think that kind of showing, okay, I kind of stood my ground and was talking like the big dog. Now I have to go throughout this series showing that I can be the big dog. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that could
Yeah,
work
and I
out.
wonder if it's gonna be like Penguin doing the dirty work to build the empire, or if he's gonna be hiring people to do the dirty work. You know what I mean? I want to see some Penguin killing. You know what I mean? That's what I need to see.
I think I need to see that as well because I don't think it would be that interesting of a series if he was just the guy in the chair, you know?
Yeah,
And of course you would see him get most of the consequences with like his henchmen dying, plans not going as well as he thought they would and everything else. But although I haven't seen the show myself, I think this needs to be like The Sopranos.
yeah, 100%. What? How would you feel if they used the Penguin show to start introducing the fantastical elements of the Batman universe?
That would I would feel it would uh, it would be a little far fetched for me. Uh
Yeah,
just because the way that you see because wasn't it the Iceberg Lounge that he had?
I don't. I think Falcone owned the club. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't
But
remember.
I'm
I've
pretty
only seen.
sure
I've only seen the movie once.
but I'm pretty sure it was the Iceberg Lounge. Like
Mhm.
fantastical Iceberg Lounge would be like on an island, just like in the comics, where
Yeah,
it's like a giant building made of glass but made it look like ice or whatever. Um, but if we were to see like a Killer Croc in here, or um, I guess what would be fantastical villainy?
like I mean, this is where you could introduce Freeze if you wanted to. Like, I need a killer. I need somebody, and then you're like, oh, there's this guy they call Mister Freeze. You know.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I guess you could use like I'm not entirely sure how they did it in the animated series, the original animated series, but the
mhm.
Batman animated series was uh back in like 2003, 2004. Bane was introduced as like an assassin. And so
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, I remember that.
maybe they can do that with this and
Well, did
have
wasn't it
Bane.
also Arkham Origins where he was an assassin? Or am I wrong about that? I haven't played that
He
game in so
was
long.
a hired, well, I guess assassin is hired
Like a
killer.
hitman? Yeah.
Uh what's the word? Starts with an
Hitman?
M. Um
Mercenary?
yeah, he was a mercenary
Yeah.
in Arkham Origins. But I guess you could do that. But as far as
Yeah.
like the venom and everything else, because everybody thought, in the at the end of the Batman, when Batman shot himself with adrenaline, it was like bright
Yeah.
green, and everybody's like, oh, "It's a
Yeah.
sign! It's a
It
sign!"
wasn't necessary for that. Like, I mean, if they wanna do Venom, that's fine. I guess you could that's plausible in my opinion
Yeah.
to do Venom, because that could be chemically compounded and stuff like that. It would be interesting, and I would applaud Matt Reeves if he actually did this. You do the second movie of Batman Poison, which I don't know if you ever read that story.
Yes.
It's where he gets addicted to Venom,
Hmm.
and he does that in the second movie where Batman's trying to do more than he can physically, so he's getting addicted to Venom to do more. That would be an interesting story. Have Batman deal with addiction.
I think that would be pretty cool. I will say it. I think it would be a little contradicting to the ending of the Batman, though.
Fair, fair.
But
Yeah, I give you
you could say with some time passing in between, because we are seeing at least a week pass
that. Mhm.
from the Batman to the Penguin. Even more time could pass between the Penguin and the Arkham show, and then even more time could pass between Arkham and the Batman 2. I think you could say that he was a hopeful Batman for a time being, and
Yeah.
the next time we see him on screen, he is having that addiction. Now, you would have the complaints from the Twitterverse and everybody else. Oh, we never got to see hopeful Batman. We only saw him at the very end of the first movie. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Well, I mean, it would be Sean Murphy, the way we complain about Sean Murphy. So I think
Oh
it's a
fuck
valid
yeah.
criticism. I think it's a valid criticism. Dude, again, I'm getting to the point where Twitter, where I fucking hate it. People are so dumb, dude. People are fucking dumb. Like, I think the reason why I hate Twitter is one, I think text conversations are the worst.
Yes.
I think you should never have a text conversation if it's like a serious conversation. But two, I feel like a lot of people lack like just logical thinking, and they don't consider both sides, and it's just like, nope, I'm setting my tracks and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, bruh. Because like, yeah, I've been just reading a bunch of shit like in every sphere, in comics and fucking politics and fucking everything. I'm just like, God, everyone's fucking dumb on both sides. But yeah, that's Twitter. They call it a cesspool for a reason. All right, let's go on from there. And now, what is this Universe Infinite news that you have on here?
Yes. So, uh, the app, the DC Universe Infinite app, I shared this in the Discord earlier this week, and it was supposed to be New York Comic Con news, but the app
Mhm,
started to update a little bit sooner, so like the description and everything kind of leaked beforehand. But DC Universe Infinite, for a limited time only, and that's why I want to go ahead and say it now, is doing a massive uh, deal with their
mhm,
streaming, which is that uh oh shit, let me find it right here. Okay, so for $100 within the next month, so from now until November 20 something, uh let me say let me see if it actually has uh oh, it says starting
yeah,
mid-November. That's weird, and they started it now. uh I guess that's when the books will update. But
mhm,
uh, from launching October 10th, available special limited time introductory price of $99 has a $99 a year, so annually, uh,
yeah,
119.99 for Canada, 134.99 for Australia, and 134.99 in New Zealand, which is 72.99 in the UK. Uh, Basically, what they're going to be doing is right now, before the launch, you had to wait 6 months for new comics to
yeah,
uh, to read new comics. When they made that change, Marvel Unlimited said, "Hey, we were 6 months also, but we want to do better, so we're going to do it every 3 months."
hmm,
DC did not move to 3 months. They're like, no, 6 months is good enough. Well, now with this ultra tier, after a single month of release, so we're going to be talking about books that came out October 11th of 2022.
yeah,
With this new tier, you can read them November 11th of 2022. So a 1 month after release, books are going to be available. There's going to be even a wider range of things as far as their Vertigo titles, Black Label, everything else. It has immensely updated compared to what it was, and it was already very large beforehand with the
yeah,
amount of comics that they had. Now, personally, I think that the uh, I guess aesthetic and just the structure of the app probably
the
needs to
layout.
change a little bit more for me
Mhm,
personally, but I think this is a very good deal, and I might be doing it like the last week that it's available for $100. Just because I personally have been doing like this comic reading challenge. I'm gonna do it again next year. And I want to read more stories for some of my favorite characters. Like
yeah,
uh Nightwing is still a character that I'm wanting to go all the way back from and read from like his introduction as Nightwing to current stuff.
Yeah.
And
I still don't know how you like that fucking weird ass costume,
it's
man.
so
Uh,
good. The
it's goofy
circus
as fuck.
Elvis freaking collar, dude, it's
Uh,
so good. Um, no, but I think that this is a very good price. If people can afford it, I think that you should jump on it. It's like I said, it's $100 a year, so you don't have to pay $100 a month. It's just $100 for the next 3 weeks, and yeah, I think it's really really good. Now to see if Marvel will do the same thing will be interesting, but making it to where it's a month out, like I know comic shops are gonna hate this, but you guys could possibly get rid of subscription boxes if you can read these books available to you after 1 month. You know?
yeah, I still haven't cut off my subscription box, and I need to. Especially with how fast, like, I mean, I only want to buy hardcovers and stuff now,
Yeah,
but I just haven't like went and been like, hey, I'm done. Like, cut me
and
off. You know what I
and
mean?
from somebody who works at a comic shop, they want you to be like that because
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
nowadays, and I'm not saying people are fickle or anything. But nowadays, especially with the add-on of like COVID, people are just like nervous to go in. They don't want confrontation and everything else. So they want you to get the subscription box and then they just want you to forget about it. So that way
Yeah.
they can keep charging you for it. And
Yeah, see, what I need to do before I kill mine is I need to take all the books I don't want and get a good like store credit because like I'm cool with I'm cool with one of our friends there, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I'll give you like a good deal on the whole box or whatever." And I just haven't went. Like I never just want to go in there with a bunch of boxes, right? Because like I always see those people go into the comic shop, and I'm just like, oh, I would hate to be that guy right now.
yeah,
Like,
no, I'm
you know?
thinking about getting rid of everything physical behind me right now. Uh
Mhm.
and Abby, my wife, is just like, just take it to the shop. I'm like, do you understand how
Yeah,
long it would take me to put all of this into our car? And not
yeah.
only that, I don't think it would be one trip. I honestly think it might be two. And that
And
would
it might not
suck.
even be worth it.
Exactly.
Probably wouldn't even be worth it. And so, like, that's the thing that sucks, because comic shops, like, logistically have to make profit.
Yeah.
So they can't give you what you probably think you deserve for it. So you could definitely try, like, eBay and stuff, and that might be like a better bet. But yeah, like, that's the kind of thing. I just don't like the space it takes up. You know what I mean? And I think I'd rather just have a book on a shelf. Like, I've been waiting for, like, Killing Time to come out, even though I have all 6 issues. And I feel like, dude, I might just, like, package up like I think I'm only keeping like the King series and stuff like that I have because I didn't get to get all of Snyder's series. I started collecting during Snyder, but and then I ended up stopping during Tynan because I just hated it. I
Yeah.
was just like, nah, I don't care. And
And
so like,
well, I was just gonna say also because I know that we kind of we always talk about how we want to go digital, and a few of our listeners are like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stick with the
yeah,
physical and everything else." I think that physical comics are still a good thing. I think that locally owned businesses are still a good thing, but when it comes to the way that these businesses, as far as DC and Marvel and just the comic book industry as a whole, are moving forward, they're going to be adapting. So
yeah,
they're trying to get everybody's dollar, not just your dollar. And so
yeah.
I think that this is going to be something that we could see more individuals pushing forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing too. Even if you stop selling loose leaf comic books right now, like the industry is not going to stop caring about those because they automatically become collector's items.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah, like I think like if you were to be like every series that's currently running is going to run to a certain point, and then we're done making these kind of comics, and then they're just going to be graphic novels and digital. I think that would be solid because like when I go into a comic shop, just like especially the one you used to work at and the one I go to, the space that comics takes up is insane. Like
Yes.
it is what like five long tables, like multiple long tables
Yeah,
that
so
are
so the way that they had it set up was it was 3 6-foot folding tables, uh,
yeah,
and there was those were connected, and then there was 3 rows of those. So
yeah,
that's, let's see here, 18 feet worth of tables that had long box or short sorry, I think they're, yeah, long
okay.
boxes,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Are
yeah.
they long or
They should
short?
fit across the table. No, I think they fit. It's only one box across the whole table, so short ways. So yeah, probably a long box size.
Yeah, so long
Yeah,
boxes all the way on each side. So
yeah,
you can probably fit more than 25 on each side. So you're looking at
yeah.
50 boxes on each table. That's 150 boxes, and each box carries anywhere from 150 to 300 comics, and they're always full. Like, just do the
And then I
math.
think
That's
there's
a
boxes
lot of
under the tables,
comics.
right?
What was that?
There's boxes under the tables,
Yeah, and well,
if
no, no,
I'm not
no.
mistaken.
Those under the table are actually, insider info. Um, the boxes for the statues are under those tables. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. But yeah, there's always boxes under that. And then that's not including the walls. They have the whole walls covered in the new stuff, the previous week stuff, the stuff that is a little bit more expensive, the stuff in the cases.
Yeah.
Like it's so much. Like literally I think it's the biggest shop in Texas, right? Is
So the way
kind of
they explain it is it's the biggest comic book shop in Texas per square footage is the way
uh
that they explain it.
what's the biggest one? Do
I
you know?
don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, to be honest, I've been to California comic shops, and the comic section in this particular store is probably as big as some comic shops in California, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's only the comic shop, and then they have the statues and the shirts and the merchandise and the toys and the fucking everything else.
Yeah.
Card section, like it's huge. And so I just think like if you take all of the loose leaf comics and you were to replace those with graphic novels, because the way that shop displays graphic novels is shit, in my opinion.
Yes.
Like there's so many graphic novels that you could have on better display, and you would just display them like that. You'd be like, oh, they'd probably sell a lot more because you're not seeing the covers because they're like tucked in like library books, and it's just like I think people need to see the covers and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're getting closer and closer to Shonen Jump style.
Yep.
So now that we're at 30 days, maybe it'll be like a week in the future. Who knows? And we'll go from there because I do think, and maybe that's what'll get people from, because there's so many people that still pirate comics.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people that pirate them. And it's funny too, because I think it's the people that pirate comics are the ones that talk the most shit about them. You know what I mean? Um, and it's because they're like, I'm not going to pay for this shit. I'm just going to steal it. You know what I mean? And then they bitch about it the most. I'm like, bro, you should just pay for it if you want to bitch, because then that makes your bitching a little bit more logical because you're a paying customer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're a stealing customer, I don't want to fucking hear anything you say. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's just like, go fuck yourself.
So I'm looking at it right now. It looks like with the average DC comic being $3.99, if you read 25 comics within the year on the DC
Mm,
Universe Ultra tier, you've made your money. And I know a
yeah,
lot of people that read 25 comics within the month. So,
yeah,
like, you read
we do that.
that much
Feels like
in
it.
1 month and you've already made your money, you know?
Yeah,
So I think it's
yeah.
it's a good
Definitely worth it.
investment.
And then you get all the back. Well, you don't get all the back catalog because they don't have everything,
But they're
but
slowly
you get a
adding
lot.
things like every
Yeah.
single month anyway.
You can go back and read the Catwoman that I constantly bring up all the time, being as the best run as Catwoman. And yeah, that's how we read it during COVID when we were like, we ain't got no books.
Yep.
I'm gonna go read all of Catwoman, and I did that. I would read like 5 issues a night because I was just it's so good. I just want to keep reading. And that's when I went on the tangent of like, oh wow, this Catwoman was tied into Identity Crisis. Like, what the fuck happened there? And I had to go read Identity Crisis. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And Identity Crisis bled into Justice League. And I was like, what's going on in Justice League? And like, I feel like that things were more cohesive back in the day
Yeah.
where you could read it like that. But now, it's the world of the spin-offs and one shots and all this kind of shit. And you're just like, yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But that is comics. So yeah, if you are somebody that wants to read more comics, this might be something you're interested in. So I would jump on that if you got the money to spend. But as far as that, I think that is all the stuff we have to talk about news wise. So let's jump over to questions because I know we got a couple interesting ones.
We did
So
get a few in, I believe, YouTube. There was quite a few in there.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let's see. First up, we got Nathan. What do you think of the possibility of Robin being in the Matt Reeves verse? How could it be done right? Do you think, first of all, do you think he's going to show up?
I am still very hesitant in thinking that Robin will appear in a Matt Reeves The Batman sequel or trilogy for that
Yeah.
matter. And the only reason why, and people may say like, they could make it work, is Robert Pattinson does not look his age. He does
No.
not look like an older gentleman. He looks young. And
Yeah.
that is just because of his physique and everything else. So to get a Robin that would have to at least look different in age for him, you would need to get a very young Robin, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if they want to put that in as far as like uh unfortunately you would have the debate of people who aren't even going to see the film of like, this is unsafe for kids. It's a bad example for kids. Blah 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 blah. Like you'll always get that, but also like I feel like the stunt work and everything might be a little bit harder with younger kids.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think because also this is year two Batman. From what we believe in the comics, Robin usually shows up like 10 years after or something like that, right? Or not even 10. No, actually, he probably shows up pretty early. To be honest, probably like in the first 5 years of Batman, maybe,
Yeah,
because of the age and all that kind of jazz. So I just don't know. I mean, it would be cool, but I think Robin would work better in the DCEU where it's more believable that a kid could knock down a full grown man, and stuff like that.
yeah.
Whereas in Pattinson's, like, you're not going to have a bodyguard get knocked down by a little kid, you know? It's not going to be believable. He's probably going to grab him in midair and just fucking chuck him against the wall. And, like, it's just what's going to happen. I mean, but Reeves, if you want to give me a big person punting a kid, I'm all for it. Like, that would be hilarious. Like, Robin tries to go in for a fight and he just gets punted, like, out a window. Like, oh, Batman. Or you know what? Reeves could be even more gangster and be like, have a Robin die. Like he can do whatever he wants in his universe, right? Have Batman
Fuck.
think of the idea of it being a kid being a good idea to have as a sidekick, and the kid dies. And then you have Batman tell that story. Like, oh fuck, I made a bad decision, right? Because you don't need it to be Jason Todd. Like it could be Dick Grayson that dies. Or it could just be some other random kid if you wanted to
I
do
don't
that.
want to have to go through all of that again. When people found
Yeah.
out Zack Snyder decided it was Dick
Oh
Grayson
yeah.
that died instead of Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, I think it's better that he died and we didn't have to see him in those little shorts that he wanted to put on him. So, I think that's a little bit better. I don't know why he went. He had all the great costume designs and he picked that one of all for Robin. I was just like, come on, man. You had everything going for you. But anyway, so yeah, there's that. But no, I don't think there'll be a Robin. But I think you could do it in the DCEU because we're having a film with kids in Shazam and they're making it work.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I think it would be in the DCEU. I don't think it could work in Matt Reeves's personally. But I mean, they could try. Let's see. Going on to Clay Juice. How do you revamp Condiment King to be a formidable, serious threat? Sounds like a great writing challenge.
This is
Well,
coming
it's a
from
great writing challenge.
the conversation we were having last week.
Yeah,
Uh
for sure.
and I think that it would be very interesting to see any villain, regardless of it being a Batman villain, a Superman villain, a Wonder Woman villain. Like if that, because that's how, like you said in the last episode, that's how you put yourself on the map as a writer. Is you
Hmm.
take something that was seen as a joke or some throwaway line or throwaway character, and you bring him back to be a big threat and an actual uh a serious note in a story. I think that's how
Yeah.
you make your staple on DC Comics.
So I think I know how a lot of people would approach this, and I think it's the wrong way to approach it. A lot of people would have him do something heinous or fucked up and have it deal with condiments somehow. Maybe like he kills a lot of people and probably like he kills them with like ketchup bottles or something like that, right? Like that's what he does. Like he does something crazy. Like he could be like one of those silly sadistic murderers that kills people and puts like pickles on their eyes like people do coins. Like it could be a stupid vicious murderer, right? And I feel like people would be like that's how you do it. Like he's going to be a silly type of murderer. What I think you do, the proper way to do this, is you have Condiment King try to be a real villain and just constantly fail and fail and fail and fail. I'm talking about like through the first few issues. And it's just him being like, why can't I be serious? Why can't I be good? Kind of like the Mothman story, right?
Yeah.
But Mothman was like, that had a good vibe in that one issue. And I think that was good enough. But Condiment King, you just constantly see him fail, go to jail, and they'd be like, come on, you're out. We don't have capacity. Like, get the fuck out of here. Nobody was worried about you. You know what I mean? Just like having the world beat him down, and then he has his one bad day. Like, he could be maybe going to the bank and like actually just trying to live his life, and then some other robbers come in, and maybe he kills one of the robbers. And it's just like, people are like, could Condiment King just save us? And they're just like, okay. And then they could like take him in because they're like, why'd you have a gun? Blah, blah, kind of do some shit like that. But then he gets his confidence. He is like, I was able to kill somebody there. I could do it again. And then he goes and he starts killing people for evil reasons. And then I think that's how you do it. It's a different type of story. Instead of it being silly. You know what I mean?
Everybody's the
And he
hero of
could
their
leave
own
his
story, you
signature.
know?
Yeah. He could start leaving his signature of like having some kind of condiment stuff or whatever. And,
A mustard
I think it's
smiley face.
yeah, you could do something like that. Because I mean, there are like crazy people out there that do shit like that, right? So I think it's very possible. I mean, look at Dexter. Like he would take a drop of blood from every one of his victims, and he would keep them in vials. So like, I think that was pretty interesting. Um, so yeah, I think it would be something along those lines because I think everybody jumps straight to like he's got to be sadistic and vicious, and I'm like, that doesn't work for everybody because then
Yeah.
you're just a copycat villain. And I think Condiment King, since he is such a comedic character, you need to show that he fails a lot and he's not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like Kite Man. You know, Tom King showed Kite Man fail and suck and fail, and then he saved the day, and you're just like, oh shit. Okay, cool. And then he became that like villain Batman wasn't scared of, but could count on.
Yeah.
You know, and like Batman has Clayface is one. As much as people love Clayface and how crazy Clayface can be, Batman counts on him. Batman counts on Harley. Like, there's been plenty of villains that have changed their story to be not necessarily formidable, but likable.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would say. What do we got next? Raphael. This has probably already been answered, but what didn't you like about the Nolan Batman trilogy? I feel like we've talked about this plenty of times.
Yeah, we've talked about this plenty of
but
times, but just the kicker, just because it's one of the last lines of the whole fucking trilogy. What's your real name? Oh, Robin.
yeah,
Motherfucker.
that was pretty bad. I think the fighting in the whole movie was bad.
Yeah.
So the fighting wasn't fun. It wasn't interesting. It was very slow and boring. But it's because again they were trying to go for a realistic fighting style, and I don't think that worked. But there was that, and the one oh my god, my worst fucking moment out of all of the trilogy is the helicopter scene when they're getting chased, and it's the fucking guy in the passenger seat that's like, oh, that's not good. Oh man, that's not good. Like that guy is the worst. He's a terrible actor. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that was like Nolan's like childhood friend that wants to be an actor, and he just gave him a scene. That is the worst. If you go back and watch that scene, the acting is so bad. And it just didn't feel right.
I think it's actually disguised as a good scene because of everything that's happening around him.
Yeah, Joker's got a bazooka shooting at the Batmobile and stuff. Of course, it looks amazing. But no, that is the worst scene, bar none, in the whole trilogy. So yeah, that's what I would say. But
Next off, we
other than that,
oh yeah. Next off, we had
definitely.
Eduardo de la Cruz. What two characters would you add to be playable in Gotham Knights? Mine are Batwing and Bluebird. And we
I
actually
would have
got
said
some
Bluebird.
replies to this one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Clay Jews says Alfred and Azrael. Alexis says mine
Has
is
Azrael never been playable?
uh Azrael, I think, was technically playable in Arkham Knight
It
when
was a DLC, right?
I don't remember if there was DLC, but I do know that there was missions where you had to basically train Azrael to be the next Batman. And so
Mm,
there was like the fighting simulations that you would do
yeah.
as Azrael. But Alexis says Catwoman and the Signal.
Signal's cool. Catwoman's been playable before.
Yeah.
So I would go back play the old games if you want to play Catwoman. But she's definitely been playable before. I think if we were to, I mean, but again, it's for that particular game. But I think I wouldn't want to pick somebody that's been playable before.
Yeah.
So I think Signal's a good shout. Bluebird's a good shout. Batwing, I don't care unless you're adding like flying abilities and like Iron Man type shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care. Um, but if we're kind of putting it on the like boots on the ground kind of thing, I think Alfred would be funny. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind, honestly. I wouldn't mind going around a spoiler.
Yeah,
To
I
be
was gonna say
honest,
Stephanie Brown. Yeah.
yeah, Stephanie Brown would be cool. And give me Damien, man. I want Damien. Like it's such a simple character, and we haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I would go with that. Those
My
would be my
mine
shots.
was gonna be I was gonna choose Stephanie Brown and then I was gonna choose the Signal. Same as Alexis.
Yeah, Signal would have been dope. Next up we got let's see, Alexis asking their question. Assuming it's great, if they made another R-rated film taking place in the same universe as Joker, who would you want it to be about? I'm torn between Bane and Scarecrow. I feel like Scarecrow is the easiest one. I think a lot of people would go with because you can fuck with the, toxicity and all that kind of shit
Yeah.
stuff. Um Bane, what would you do? Would he be like, are you going the luchador route? Is he like a luchador that goes into crime? Like, I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
I feel like Riddler's also the next one, but after seeing the Batman, I don't want anybody to touch a Riddler film in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Um, I would go. My two would either be Professor Pig or Hugo Strange. Having somebody fuck around in an asylum, and you could probably tie it to Joker.
Yeah.
So
In the
I'd go
same
with those two.
universe of the Joker, I would probably say just because I think it would spin off very well with Joker, especially the ending. Anarchy being one,
Mm.
and then the second one I would probably say fuck, just like we've always been saying, Scarface, man.
Yeah, I think Scarface would be such a good one. Because I just get the vibes of just like a creepy puppet as a kid, man.
Yeah.
Like seeing puppets as kids, I was just like,
Well, not only
oh,
that, just for the fact that like the Blumhouse relationship that they have with WB and just branching
yeah,
that out to DC, like you could think of fucking Annabelle, but in
yeah,
the DC universe.
yeah. I think it would be good. I would love for somebody to bring in Scarface. But you want to know what? I feel like we're gonna get Scarface in like shitty CW type Titans show, and that's gonna
Eek.
suck.
Don't say
You
that.
know what I mean?
Don't say that.
I kind of feel like Scarface has been in something before that I just don't remember, but could be wrong because I don't think he was used in Gotham. If he did, I'm blocking it out. Like I'm genuinely blocking it out if he used because I think he was. Actually, keep talking and I'll look it up.
Well, I just
Uh,
think that again, the way we've talked about it with the like beat down,
he was.
really.
He was in Gotham. I knew that they did it in a shitty way. Yeah, I'll send you a photo of it right now. But I knew he was used in something, and like I said, it was CW level. I mean, I will say the puppet was creepy, but I mean, it's not obviously. It's just not memorable because I forgot him, for a little bit. But I will say that they did use like the old crazy version of Scarface, which I
Damn.
think they tried to emulate, which I think was kind of cool. So
Nice.
you know. So they tried, but I don't think they did a good enough job to where they could have
Well, I just think
really.
that like the ventriloquist that's like down on his luck that can't get any gigs or anything else, finally like he sees a news broadcast of the Joker, and
Mhm.
he's like, or like not even a newscast. He sees like the the clip of when Joker was at that stand up and nobody was laughing, but the ventriloquist laughs or
Yeah,
something, and it's like, oh, dude, that guy's
yeah.
funny, you know?
Well, you know what would be better is if he's watching that and he starts doing the laugh, like he emulates Joker. He's like ha 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 ha,
Oh,
like
and
he
he does
starts
it for
doing that
Scarface.
as the puppet.
Fuck.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Like he just starts doing his like monologue. I think that would be pretty interesting. And then he just starts developing his own voice. Like that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be
That's
sick.
the way you tie shit together. Like that'd be fun. Anyways, moving on. Jason Todd. I'm assuming he's alive since he typed this. If you were Batman, what would you do differently? So I've talked about this before. Like if I ever got superpowers, I'd be an anti-hero. I admire Batman for having the willpower to not cross the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think we've all had that moment where you just wanted to punch somebody in the face. Like granted in real life you have like consequences, you know.
Yeah.
You can get arrested, you can get sued, you can get all this kind of stuff. So normal people aren't going to go do that. But I think give if you were given the option to maybe hurt somebody or do something like that and we're going to be no consequences, I think a lot of people would take it. I think a lot they're like, oh yeah, you hate this person, you can punch him in the face for free, no consequence. I think a lot of people, I take it.
Yeah.
If I can hit the person I hate the most in the face, I'm taking it. And that's I think what I admire about Batman, right? Like he doesn't cross the line. He could easily kill everybody if he wanted to,
Yeah.
but he doesn't, and that's why I admire him. But if I had like Superman's powers, I'm an anti-hero. I'm as Black Adam would say, Superman doesn't kill people. Well, I do. You know what I mean? Because like right now, I'm just going after all because the thing is, I'm killing bad people.
Yeah.
Like, there's all this stuff going on with war, flying straight to Putin into the sun. You know what I mean? Oh, this other rapist, crazy guy into the sun. Like, I'm just chunking everybody out of the atmosphere. Like, that's all I'm doing.
We have space garbage and they're all humans.
Yeah, it's just all the dictators and shit. You know what I mean? But I'm also doing like, wasn't there a comic book where Superman like got rid of all the nukes
Yeah.
in the world? I would do the same thing. I'd be like, yo, all this bad shit gone. You know what I mean? And like that's what I would do. And so I think I wouldn't like because I do think power corrupts people, right? And if nobody can hurt you, no actual human can hurt you, and like it's just you're gonna be like Mark's dad in fucking Invincible. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Like you play the role, but I think in reality you view yourself as superior. And I know a lot of people would probably sit here and be like, "No, I wouldn't be that way," but you don't know until you are that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like at the moment right now, there's somebody that could easily kick my ass. I can't stand up to everybody. You know, I can't go to Conor McGregor and be like, "Hey, you're a bitch. I'm gonna get knocked the fuck out." Like you just can't do that to people. But when you're in a position to where you probably have no consequences, and if you don't have a predator, you have a different mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's why a lot of people would say they would be superheroes. But I just live in reality. I'm like, I'd be an anti-hero, man. I'm killing all the bad dudes. I'm sorry. So that's what I would do.
If I were
So I can't say I would
Batman,
be,
if I
yeah.
were Batman, what would I do differently? After losing so much sleep with being a father, I would work during the day and sleep at night.
Yeah. Would you change your costume?
Um,
You're working during the day, so black is gonna get all hot
I
and
know, for
crazy
real.
and with the smoke.
I think I would, but like, does Batman have a like? I am pretty sure if we go far back enough, like probably Golden Age, Silver Age, there was probably a like, oh, I need to protect the day as well, and he like changes his suit. Well, there was that Tynan costume, the bright blue
Oh
metallic Iron Man
god,
looking
dude.
thing.
That was a era when he fought Snow Pop and Snow Cone or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't believe Tynan wrote that, man.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
God,
Ah.
that was campy, dude. I think a lot of people forget how bad Tynan was, man.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, if I actually covered comics, how I would have. I don't know. I think the way I want to make content now, I could make some really good, like, in-depth, like, dissections. I'm not going to make this content for anybody's like, Juice is going to. No, fuck no. I'm not going back to that kind of content. But I think if I was doing it, I think I could write some really good reasons on why some of that stuff was just terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
But other
but
than working during the day also, I mean, I think that I would not be a part of the Justice League.
okay.
With how Batman works, like he is smart and everything else. Like one of his biggest things is I need to take care of Gotham, right?
Yeah.
And I would easily just be like, "Hey, Dick Grayson, you want to be in the Justice League for like a month?" And I would just like rotate my heirs to the
Mhm.
Justice League because they've all trained under me. They all know basically what I do.
Yeah.
You know, it would be another reason
But
for a
technically, your heirs could handle Gotham.
that's true.
So, yeah. And Batman, I think Batman's as much as Batman cares about Gotham, I think he cares about life more. So he would try to save as many lives as possible.
No, that's true
So,
also.
you know, so I think it would go with that. But yeah, I'd be an anti-hero. I'm sorry. So I mean, the person that asked is Jason Todd. So I'd be more like Jason Todd, to be honest. Um, but yeah, going over that, we have this crazy name that I'm just gonna say Bala because that's the only thing I can pronounce properly. Or Basan. Oracle be looking like Brainiac. Yeah,
In the last
from
issue of
Batman
Batman, yeah.
128 for sure. And then we got Monkey. If you got to write an official Batman comic, but you had to create an original new villain, what would it be? Personally, I would do an assassin with Inspector Gadget powers. The cybernetic enhancements would challenge Batman's tech. And Alexis comments, have him have a version of batarangs that explode and poison smoke bombs. Well, I think Batman already has those kind of things.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to worry about that. I can't really answer this.
Yeah, I was gonna say Juice is a little bit more secretive with these things because I will say
Yeah.
because I have read partial ideas from Juice, I already know he has a brand new hero that he would introduce.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a villain he would introduce, but honestly, with stuff
That's
like
tough.
this, it's hard, man. And I understand. I totally understand the pressure that Tynan, that Joshua Williams, that Chip is now under with okay, I
Mhm.
need to bring something new to Batman. Right? Because that's the pitch. That's always the pitch whenever to get on any book. Oh, what is something new that you can bring to the table? And that is something that we struggle with as far as like it's not always something new that we need. We just need good stories. They could be
Yeah.
with older villains. Just don't keep
Yeah.
using the same older villain over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
So with a new villain with Batman, I would honestly it was kind of a mix of new and old with uh oh shit, what's his name? The one that ended up being Joker at the end of it.
Oh, designer.
The designer. The
Yeah.
designer had a look of a new villain, but his backstory was very much cemented into like the old Gotham.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that you can do a few times before it's like, okay, this is getting a little too out of hand because it becomes
Yeah.
the thing of like, oh, we're if you were there the whole time, why haven't we seen you? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I I still can't believe the designer got so fucked, man. How did you he had such a good character there. He had such a good character.
Yeah.
And the thing is I've definitely thought about it because, dude, I think Tynan has good characters. He just wrote them poorly. Like, because all of their designs looked amazing because it was Jimenez.
Yeah.
Jimenez is a god when it comes to art. So, like, again, Tynan and I think Zdarsky are being carried by the art. And that's why people are like, oh, they're so good. But I'm like, no, Jimenez is good. Like the writers are okay. They've done great things, but I just don't think their runs are fantastic. But the designer having him just be a pawn for Joker was dumb. And I've thought about like cuz when this is the thing that I do and I always tell people this too, like if you have a complaint with a writer or like you don't like Tom King, how would you have done it better? And actually think about how you would have done it better or how would you fix Tom King's problems, right? Like
Mhm.
if you hated that the Batcat thing happened, how would you get them to break up in a plausible way? Would you have to kill Catwoman and then let Batman move on with his life? Like what would you do? You know what I mean? Because you can't just everybody's already shitting on like what's happening in Catwoman right now, right? And people are like, will they, won't they kind of bullshit. People
Yeah.
hate it. Like this. And it's just like you got to do something interesting that people are also going to believe. Because Tynan went ahead and been like, we're just going to take a break. We're not breaking up. We're just going to take a year to solve our problems. His run lasted longer than a year, and they should have had all their problems solved, and nothing ever got fixed. And it's just kind of out there. But I tell anybody if you complain about a writer, think about how you would do something different. And if you want to be a writer yourself, then try to write those stories on how you would do it differently.
Yeah.
Because I've thought about how I would redo the designer, but I think the only way you could is you'd have to make him come back and go after Joker. But would that be allowed? Because at the same time, I think the only way you make the designer like a credible threat is by making the Joker look weak at some point, and I don't know if you wanna do that.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where you write yourself into the corner, but I also think the Joker is somebody that can be made to look weak because he gets beat by Batman all the time, right? He can be made to look weak at a point, and then he just comes back in a good way, and he's everybody forgets? So it's one of those things. And it's just so hard when you're like having a villain challenge the Joker. Like the fans are never going to believe it. So it's like I kind of feel like the designer's kind of just dead, which kind of sucks. Because I think the only way you can make him good again is if he goes after Joker because story-wise, Joker is the one that killed him, quote unquote. But if you have him be like, I was never dead, like you thought you killed me, it's because that's the way I designed it,
Yeah.
you know? I made you think. I made you become this crazy clown prince of crime while I waited in the wings to strike. You know what I mean? And I've learned everything about everybody. And like then he's just like, oh fuck. Because I think that was the great thing about Hush, right? Hush had all these pawns in his little game to get back at Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made him such a credible threat when he showed up. On top of being drawn by Jim Lee and written by Jeff Loeb. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And it's just like, I don't know. It just left a bad taste in my mouth knowing that Tynan created a character just to lead us to Joker War.
So
So
painful.
yeah, it kind of sucks. And I think, yeah, so there's that. Now, do we have any questions in the Discord?
We did have questions in the Discord, so let's go over here to Batman News Weekly. It says right here, from the Ponderer, since Gotham Knights is in excuse me, is in
Oh,
2 weeks.
9 minutes. I've got nights.
Um, what are you looking forward to the most or excited the most for the game?
I'm not excited, to be honest. So, I mean, I don't even have money to buy the game right now. So, I am not excited.
Currently, I don't, but next week I think I will. So, like, basically, the week of the game, I will have to pre-order it or whatever. But
Yeah.
honestly, um, I'm a little less excited about this game. But what I am excited for, this is apparently the biggest map of Gotham that they've ever created for any game before. So I think the exploration is going to be very interesting, and they have kind of showcased that there's like secret pathways and entrances like throughout Gotham that will take you across maps and stuff. So I think that is going to be some fun stuff to look into. But I'm not super excited for the story because I don't I think it might be a little predictable.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that vibe.
Yeah.
But I've also not been looking into it personally just to get excited about it when I play it, you
Yeah.
know? There are some games that I just play to play, and they turn out to be amazing, and I'm just like, "Oh, man, this is awesome." So, I'm just not really looking into Gotham Knights that much. Like, I haven't seen the new cinematic trailer and all that jazz. It gets posted in our Discord, but I don't watch them
Yeah, there
because
was
I
a
don't
new
wanna get
one
spoiled.
this week. I think this is technically like the launch trailer that they just
Okay.
released. Um, but I will say this: there's been a few people out there that have gotten the chance to already start playing it, and they've done like updates to where like you see like the very first trailer that showed gameplay, and then you show the actual footage that it is now, and they have actually updated it a lot as far as like how the smooth the fighting is and everything else. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I did. Clay did post one in Discord that I saw of the gameplay, and it looked pretty fun. I was like, okay, that looks kind of cool, but I'm not excited about it. I mean, I haven't been excited about it for a while. So yeah, there's that. And then next up, we got Charlie, bro. Who Charlie had a little bit of disrespect in the Discord, which, granted, he's trying to learn. I understand it, but he used the word Hispanic first in his question and then changed it to Latinx. I'm like, bro. But anybody knows that we've had the discussions about this a lot. But where did actually I'm missing his question. Let's see. Oh, it's right here because it's not highlighted. Do you guys like? I'm gonna go back to his original. Do you guys like Hispanic content created by white people, or do you like what is your favorite Hispanic content? So this is not really Batman related. Um, but I mean, what has been something that white people have created that's for Hispanics?
So I wanted to look into let's see here.
Because like I just feel like I don't think white people would understand the culture. You know what I mean?
All right, so
Like I'm
I need to know he looks white, but I
mhm,
don't know if he is actually okay. So this dude was born in Manchester, England, and then went to Australia. So I don't know if you remember this cartoon. It's so stupid, and I actually didn't like it until I actually started to like watch the actual show. Mucha
mhm.
Lucha.
Never saw it.
You never saw that cartoon?
Mm-mm.
So it's an animated cartoon, um, and these kids are basically uh like wrestlers. They like
Mhm.
go to school to become professional wrestlers, but
Okay.
they all have like special like superpowers based on what their like wrestling special is. So
Yeah.
uh the characters the main characters are like the flea and some random stuff, and it gets
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this. I haven't seen the show, but I've seen these
yeah,
animations.
it
Yeah.
gets really ridiculous. uh
Hmm.
but it's actually really fucking hilarious and a really good show. um so there's that
And it's
one.
made by a white dude.
Yeah, it's made by a guy named Eddie Mort.
Hmm. I haven't watched the show, so like, was there a bunch of stereotypes in it, or
uh
is it just like a show about luchas?
it's it's a store it's a show about luchas,
Mhm.
but you could very much tell that so it says here uh there's the pilot of the show is called Lucha School.
Mhm.
It would be later known as Mucha Lucha the following year. um and it has a lot of stereotypes as far as like I because I think it's based in Mexico. I think it is, uh,
Mhm.
and I think the creator actually moved to Los Angeles, and he got a better taste of like what kind of the Mexican Hispanic heritage was, and so it got a little bit
Yeah.
better after that. But like that's a white dude creating Hispanic content, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah, because I'm not. So, like, here's how I view it. I don't think people should be denied from being able to create content. I think everything's on the table. I don't think anything's off the table when it comes to stuff. But my views on this stretch very far. Like, when it comes to art, I think anybody should be able to create anything as long as you're not harming yourself or harming somebody else.
Yeah,
Like, I don't And when I say harming, I don't mean your fucking feelings, all right? Because everybody can get offended by anything, so I don't fucking care about that. I'm talking about physical. Like, you shouldn't be harming yourself or
Bodily
somebody.
harm. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't mind other like races creating content like involving that. Like if I wanted to, because here's the thing, I grew up on black sitcoms.
Yeah.
I watched Fresh Prince, I watched Family Matters, like so like that was my introduction to the black community. And I don't know if people that are in the black community would be like that is how life is or was or whatever, you know. They're the only ones that can speak for that. So like, but that's what I grew up on. You know what I mean? Like I loved that kind of content because when we grew up, there was no fucking Latinos on TV. Like that's not what happened. We didn't have our own shows. It was black shows and white shows.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And even nowadays, like Latinos, like there's not really Latino shows, and if they are, they're not like on major networks. But there's Latinos in shows.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's like a lot of shows that are just all Latinos. George Lopez was really the one that kind of broke that barrier, right?
You know he's coming
And
out
that
with
was
another
really
show?
Yeah, it's with his actual daughter, I think.
It's called Lopez
Uh,
versus Lopez or something like that?
yeah, I think it's his actual daughter.
That's crazy.
So I thought, and I just checked this right now on Wikipedia. I was like, one show that was probably made by white people that I think could be was The Brothers Garcia. That was the first Latino show
Oh shit.
that I thought about when we were little. And that's because the only reason I remember it was on Nickelodeon, and the family was based in the city we live in.
Yeah.
And they were also like Dallas Cowboys fans. I don't know how they got the rights to say that they were Cowboys fans, but that was crazy. But the Brothers Garcia, but it was made by somebody named Jeff Valdez. So, you know, a Latino person. And so yeah, I can't really say anything like that. But I think if you are somebody that is going to create a show about another race or culture, you better hit it on the nose. Like you got to be real. It's got to be really good because it's like telling jokes about other races that you're not like if you're white and you're telling jokes about other races, they need to be really funny or you're going to look really bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the thing that goes about it. I think you're always going to offend people like if you're not a part of the culture, like whatever, like there's the big thing that I always think about is the conversation between dreadlocks. Like a lot of people are like, that is a black hairstyle and it should be for black people. And I'm just like, I had dreadlocks at one point. So like, does that make me bad? But I went to a black salon to get it done.
Yeah.
And they were totally cool with it. And like, there's a lot of people that are offended by that and not offended by that. There's a lot of people in the culture that are like, it's just hair. Like, it's just a style. Long as you're not saying that dreadlocks are made by white people, you know what I mean? Like you don't say that, but like anybody could have that hairstyle if they want it. It's a fucking hairstyle. And so like I understand that there's those kind of conversations, but I think at the end of the day, if you are going to create something that like from a culture that you're not part of, you should at least study that culture, or you know what, be smart enough and bring somebody that is a part of that culture onto the fucking team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the smartest thing to do. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't know. So I can't really say that there was a show because I'm pretty sure George Lopez was like an executive producer on his show. So you can't say, even if like the main person was white, you can't say that it was created by a white person.
Yeah.
That shit was Latino to the fucking bottom to the top. Like it was crazy. And that's why the show was so good. But yeah, so there's that. And I don't think there's anything else after that. So
Nope.
that is all the questions we got, ladies and gentlemen. And we're moving on to books, which I didn't read it, but Urban Legends had that like video game story this week, and I forgot about it.
Oh shit, did it really?
The Dark Souls Batman.
I saw the cover and I was like, oh, they're just throwing this out there just to like sell it or whatever. And
Yeah.
I didn't fucking read it. Damn it.
Yeah, so there was a Dark Souls Batman, and the villain was Man-Bat, like a big dragon Man-Bat, which I thought was kind of cool.
God damn it.
So just throwing that out there for anybody. We didn't read that. We didn't cover it. There's also this weird Alfred story that's been like continuing in the Urban Legends that he's going through all this shit and fighting frog people or something. I don't know what's going on with Alfred.
Huh.
There was another Talia story where I thought this was interesting. I didn't read it, but I did skim this whole book. So yeah, this story that I thought was really interesting at I think it's the back of the book, was apparently Damien got hurt and Talia found out about it. And Bruce and Talia have like this argument about like the safety of their kid, which I think was kind of interesting. And like, I don't know, they kind of go back and forth, like arguing with each other. And then I think it's Alfred that has like a conversation, like, oh, you can see him or whatever. And she just kind of goes in there being a mother. And then they're kind of like, oh, we just got to care about our kid. So that was like an interesting concept,
Huh.
like actually having the mom show up to care about Damien. So that was interesting. And then there was some. I think I like the artwork on the last story that was called like Murder Club. That had some just interesting concepts, and I think it was just like Batman trying to find a murderer and stuff. You know, just interesting, solid Batman stories in there. So go check that out if you guys saw the artwork for that Dark Souls type of Batman. It is this week's Urban Legends. So go check that out. But let's move on to I Am Batman because this is something I wanted to talk about. I mentioned this a few weeks ago that something interesting happens at the end of this book that I wanted to have a discussion about. And if you checked it out, now I did go back and look at this again, and it does seem like there might be some supernatural stuff going on here because there's a yellow hue around our characters.
Yeah.
And I read this a long time ago, so if you picked up on anything I might not know about, let me know. But I know at one point in this, here, first thing I want to say before we dive into the ending, I hate that I Am Batman, and I really upsets me that Ridley Scott is doing this. He's just retelling Batman's origin in a new city. And what I mean by this is there's a new Robin showing up, which I believe is his sister. She's wearing
Yeah.
Robin's colors, and it's just like a different like track outfit style kind of thing. And she's just gonna be his Robin. We
Yeah.
saw this also happen in Batman Beyond, where his brother became Robin. And I
Yeah.
don't like just because you are the Batman character doesn't mean your life needs to play out just the way Bruce Wayne's did. Like
Yeah.
you could do something different here, but they're telling the same fucking story. And I don't like that. I think it's a bad move by Ridley Scott to make another Robin. She could be anything. She doesn't need to be a Robin, you know?
Yeah.
And like I don't like that. Maybe he'll do something different. Maybe she'll die. And he'll be like, I
No,
don't need Robins.
see, I don't think it will because there was already a like it's really weird how Ridley has kind of told this story. During I Am Batman or like Second Son or something, there was some sort of like backup story
Mm.
that had them in the future where they were Batman and Robin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. And it's just the same story. Why do I want to hear the same story with new people? You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
something I tweeted about. Did you see that that movie Smile has crossed $100 million at the box office? Audiences want new stories. That horror movie Black Phone recently just crossed a really good milestone of money as well at the box
Yeah.
office. They're new stories. People want new shit instead of Jason 55 and Freddy Cougar 33 and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Granted, I don't mind those for nostalgia, but like I'm seeing people being like, "Hey, I saw this tweet earlier today being like, "Hey, I've went every year to see Halloween end. Is it actually going to end this time?" And like, you know, because people are tired of it, you know what I mean? Like, bring
Yeah.
in new horror elements. Like, do something new. Like, granted, they ran Paranormal Activity into the ground, but when that came out, it
Fuck,
was pretty
dude.
interesting,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? And so, like, do something new. And the horror genre is so silly that you could do anything.
Like the Winnie the Pooh shit that's
Yeah,
coming out next year, I
that
think.
looks awesome. And so yeah, anyways, let's get back to Batman. So at the end of this, the only thing I want to talk about is there was there's some like murders or stuff going on. There's this conversation because the Robin character in this beat the shit out of the detective in this book, the main
Yeah.
detective. And I don't
Chubs.
remember the names. Yeah, because I've given up on this book. But there's this conversation that happens where they're talking to each other and this other detective shows up and he has a yellow hue around him and I didn't notice this the first time and I thought it was just maybe like a stylistic thing and I was just like he starts talking about he was like so why Batman and he was like what do you mean he's like why are you Batman he was like I don't like you could be anything you want but you pick Batman. And he was like, well, there's a history there between me and Batman. He was like, but you're not Batman. Like Batman doesn't run. Like you're a coward. Like you're just kind of ruining his reputation. And
God
Batman
damn.
is like what the hell did you say? And he starts beating the shit out of this detective. I'm talking about with a baton to the face. And he's
Yeah.
beating the hell out of him. And the interesting thing here is while this conversation is going on, the detective that has this yellow hue around him, Batman also has a yellow hue while he's beating him. But the other detective, the what's her name? The
Chubbs.
black detective, Chubbs, grabs his arm. He's like, "That's enough." And Batman and the other detective that he's getting beat up both have yellow hues. But the final page, Batman no longer has a yellow hue. The other detective doesn't. But the one that has gotten his ass beat, bleeding out of his nose, and Chubbs says, "Oh, I don't think he's going to make it." So we have a possibility of a Batman killing here and killing a person of the law. I think this is interesting, and I think this would be something that might make me want to get back on the book if I didn't think there's something supernatural here.
Well, look at the title of the next chapter or the next issue. It says
Yeah,
next, Dark Crisis of the Soul. And
and
I
when I
think
read
I have
that,
already gotten this spoiled for me. And now that I
okay,
see the yellow hue immediately told me what it was.
okay,
Um
I don't know. You can
so
spoil that.
so the yellow hue, especially when it says Dark Crisis, we know that Dark Crisis is all of the evil guys, the villains versus the good guys.
Yeah,
And so this is depicting Fear, aka the Yellow Lantern,
and you think
Sinestro.
who's the Yellow Lantern? Can Sinestro do this kind of stuff? Can he
I
control
think
people?
he can influence people, I believe. And the same
Okay.
thing can happen with any Green Lantern. It depends on their amount of will, amount of fear, and all of these different things that go along with the spectrum. I think that's what this is because I believe I saw a variant cover for the next issue and it had uh, Tim Fox
Mhm.
Batman fighting Sinestro on the cover.
Lame.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this because I think this would have been a good story to tell about this a Batman crossing the line. Because I have said this from the start. Why the fuck is he Batman? Why does he need to be Batman? He couldn't be anything else. He should be trying to be something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought like maybe Ridley Scott's gonna finally tell that story. I think that'd be kind of awesome. But I also think because I've always said it's okay to create characters to destroy them, right? Like it's
Yeah.
totally fine. Um, and it would be interesting to see if Tim uh were to be somebody that can't change. Because I think that's okay to have a hero not change. We know that he's trying to repent, right? He's trying to be a better person because he killed somebody in his past. But what if he kills again? I think that would be an interesting story.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to tell that because they don't want that optics of Batman killing somebody, right? I mean, they've done it a million times in stories, but they don't want Tim Fox, a black Batman, killing somebody, right? They probably
Yeah.
don't want those optics because they're like, oh, you're doing stereotypes, blah, blah. Like, we don't want that. But I think it would still be a very intriguing story. Of course, I don't think this detective's going to die. He's going to get saved somehow, blah, 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 blah. Batman's not going to kill. But I think this would because again, they're just retelling stories right now. They gave him his
Mhm.
own villain that's supposed to be the Joker and blah 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 and all that kind of bullshit. They have a Robin. There's nothing interesting about I Am Batman.
Yeah.
This, if it didn't have a supernatural element to it, and he lost his cool because he was saying you're a coward and you're not Batman, I think that would be an interesting road to go down. Um, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get that. But I did want to talk about this because I think these are the kind of topics that I think would make comics a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that's all I really want to talk about.
I really think that Ridley has so many opportunities to turn this book around and I understand the story that he wants to tell versus the story that DC wants him to tell to us. And you can clearly see it because there's decisions in here that we have both agreed on. Like,
Yeah,
hey, this could be a really cool story. But then they put too much Batman in this Batman book, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And that's what kind of ruins it. Because I do think he needs to make his own hero. Now, he may have a Batman S costume, and maybe he can join freaking Batman Incorporated,
yeah.
who knows? Which that's a title I read. I don't know if you read that one.
I did actually. Yes,
Okay, okay.
I only read it because Raphael posted something from, I think, Bleeding Cool or somewhere, saying that they were gonna be investigating Selena Kyle's father's death, and that didn't happen in the book at all.
No, it didn't.
And so I'm like, what the fuck? So I think Bleeding Cool was just assuming something, unless they've gotten multiple issues ahead. I don't know,
It
but
could have been like a solicit, like, oh,
yeah,
for issue number 4, this is when the story starts or whatever.
yeah. And nothing really is going on. I mean, the story in Incorporate. I don't know if you were done with Batman. I Am Batman. So I'm not too sure if you have anything else to say about that.
Uh, no, not with Batman. Just for the fact that like he could be a part of Batman Incorporated, and maybe that could be where he works best.
Yeah.
Unless Ridley is able to do the street level Batman that we've been wanting from this character.
I think it's just too far gone. How many issues are we in? Like 14?
I think this is 14.
Yeah, it's just it's too far gone. Like I don't know if you can change it around. I think he should use this moment. Like if Ridley wants to change something right now, this moment of him losing his cool and beating the shit out of a cop, if Tim Fox wants to go down the road of like Batman would have never done that, I'm not Batman, and become something new, I think that's what he should do. I would read that story. I think that's where you can start picking up the story where he's like, because then you can switch the title up like he's been doing to try to refresh the series, right? But like the thing could be like, I'm not Batman. That could be the next one.
Yeah.
And then you go from there. You still have Batman in the title. It's just, the story continues, all that jazz, but it's I'm not Batman. And you have him be different. And I think that's fine. And maybe you have the brother show up, be like, what are you doing? Like,
Oh yeah.
And like that could be a confrontation. And maybe I have no problems. It's kind of like wrestling. Wrestling will have a good guy turn bad. Like we don't get enough of those stories, in my opinion. And I think those are fun stories, and I think they're interesting because good people can do bad things, just like bad people can do good things. So I don't know. I feel like we need more of that. But as for Batman Incorporated, this whole book was just centering around a bunch of people that have taught Batman like how to be Batman getting killed.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I was actually getting sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, with Tynan not writing these characters, I think it's good. I think that this can work out. And then it became this like uh what was the message on the wall? No
Oh
more
yeah,
mentors,
no more
no
teachers.
more
Yep.
teachers. It's just
Yeah,
like you lost me.
yeah.
Like I don't understand that concept. Like
Well,
I
it's
get it. If you were to go and find out who Batman is or find out
mhm,
who trained Batman and you kill all of them, cool. Like do that. But like having this manifesto of like, oh well, we're afraid that you're going to teach more people and there's going to be more Batman or whatever. Cuz the story that led up to this new Batman Incorporated title was the story of Lex Luthor having his own Batman Incorporated kind
yeah,
of like fucking up everything. And they kind of talk about it here, but it's
mhm,
kind of like a throwaway line.
yeah,
And I'm just
yeah.
like,
I agree.
why didn't we follow that story?
Yeah, and what happens here is at the end of it, they kind of think they know who it is, and it ends with Ghostmaker going to like Japan or something like that, finding this like female Ghostmaker, it seems like, and she's like, I hear you're killing people or something like that. So it seems like she's not the person involved. So
Yeah.
there's a mystery person that's killing all these teachers. Um I don't care about Ghostmaker. So of all people, why is he leading Batman Incorporated?
Well, and that's what El Gacho says.
Yeah,
He's like,
the
I
only
have
real man in the book.
seniority.
Yeah. Um, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't like interesting concept. I will say that of these teachers dying, in my opinion. But I don't care about Ghostmaker, and I don't care about Clown Hunter. You know, it's just again force feeding characters I don't care about into a story that people are like, oh, let's try to bring some relevance to these characters. You know what I mean? And I just don't care. I don't care. You know, you could have at least thrown some Batman into this. Like if you've been like, yo, these are all connected to you. Like, what do you think? You
Well,
know?
the reasoning that you couldn't is because he's in Atlantis right now. They're tying it into
Oh, did
Chip's
they
run.
say that? Or
Yeah,
is
they
it?
said it several times.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of blazed through this book because I didn't care.
Yeah,
Um,
they said it twice. One time Ghostmaker says it, and then another time El Gacho is like trying to call Batman, and another one of the members is like, Ghostmaker already told us he's in Atlantis. He's like, well, I just want to check for myself.
yeah. You
So
want to know the problem and why Ghostmaker's kind of destroyed already? Is Tynan made him impossibly good. He made him OP. He should have
yeah,
already figured this out. Because remember, he was able to fill out like fix 20 crimes while he was fucking two other people.
yeah,
Remember that scene? Like this should be a breeze for him because he's apparently better than Batman. He's the world's greatest detective. So I don't understand why this is such an issue for him, you know? And I know a lot of people are like, dude, you're nitpicking. This is a story. And I'm like, no, I understand that. I'm definitely nitpicking. But what I'm saying is he was written to be this like god-like figure. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I don't think we've ever seen him be beat yet.
No,
And so until you show me that he's not this godlike figure, I think he should be able to do everything easily. And you haven't shown that to me. And so, yeah, I just don't care. And why is Clownmaker even there? Clown Hunter. I don't even know his fucking name anymore. The clown
he
guy. Why is he even there?
he like had maybe 3 panels,
Yeah.
maybe, and it
So,
was more so just to explain like, oh yeah, I'm working under Ghostmaker.
yeah. So I only read this book because Raphael said Selena's Kyle's dad was mentioned. And that was not the case. Maybe it'll be in the next book, so I'll skim the next book. But that was really the only reason why I even gave this book a chance because I don't
Yeah,
like Ghostmaker. Don't care. But, anyways, let's move on to the last book that we're covering, and that is Batman versus Robin #2. Now, we know, now I did notice something at the end of this book that I kind of want to talk about, but we know that this is the series that just brought Alfred back to bring Alfred back. Like there was no explanation. He's just back from the dead. Perfectly fine and everything. Neck works great. It's, you know, it's not twisted sideways or anything. He's just back. And a majority of this book I didn't really care about because a lot of it was just supernatural in the house, kind of, you know, they're going to the spooky houses and I
yeah.
don't care about a lot of it. There was this one cool panel where there's that I don't know what that character's name is, but all his fingers are the Justice League members.
Felix Faust.
Yeah, Faust. I thought that was a kind of cool panel. But he's getting kind of beat up by like Batman in I guess outside of one of the magic houses. And Batman and Alfred are like, we gotta go in there. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but Zatanna brought us here and we gotta figure it out. Alfred's like, I'm here for you, Master Bruce. And they go inside, and it's I don't know who this guy is that leads them into the house, but Batman essentially gets teleported to the Robin fight on Lazarus Island, or like he goes
Yeah.
through a door and it's there. So we're having to see all of that again. And again, I think Batman gets involved. We see Queen Lazarus kind of saying all this shit, and that hallucination goes away, and Batman's being eaten by little frogs or little demon people, like the guy that they were
No,
fighting.
yeah, it's the Lazarus monster, but he's like
Yeah.
multiplied. They're feeding on him. They get to another door. This is the House of Secrets.
Okay.
Um, there's the House of Mystery and the House of Secrets. And the people that are in the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery is Cain and Abel. There's the
Okay.
same thing as in the Sandman books. Cain and Abel are the two that protect these two households. And so they see Cain the second time. He's like, oh, well, let me just show you this story. And it's the story of uh, Ra's al Ghul's mother. But
Yeah.
they don't know it at that point. They're learning about the monster, the Lazarus pits, and all of this. and at one point Alfred is like, "Oh, well, did you know that what does he say? At one point she says something and he's like, "Oh, were you aware that the Lazarus pit had any kind of origin?" And Batman's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I do now. Okay." And I'm like, "All right, like of course anything has an origin. I'm sure
Yeah.
Batman would have found that out." Again, the House of Mystery, House of Secrets, playing some tricks on them. They send them to the day that Damien opened the cage of the demon Niza,
Yeah.
and like Batman's trying to stop him or whatever. And they
There's a
thought
lot
it
of
was just
questionable Batman dialogue in this book.
there was. There
Yeah.
was. It was
So,
very odd. And they thought it was all just like another illusion.
yeah.
But this Robin actually did fight them. If you
Mhm.
figure out at the very end, like you see, he is teleporting back to the Lazarus Queen or whatever after this fight between him and Batman. Uh, but I'm sure you want to talk about this ending part. There's two
Yeah.
reveals at the end here.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of I just want to talk about the Alfred part. I don't know if you're trying to talk about the family part.
Well, like Damien gets the Batman 666 outfit
Yeah.
from the Lazarus Queen, and it looks like with the way the dialogue played out, I think they actually got control of the Bat family.
Yeah, I guess so. We see Spoiler, or I guess they call her Batgirl now. I'll always call her Spoiler.
Yeah.
Nightwing, we got Tim Drake, and we got Red Hood in his actual good outfit, which I think is cool. But then the house catches on fire that they're in, so that was weird. And then now Batman's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. And he's like, and then Alfred's like, I'm on your side, sir. Thank you, old friend. I'm always my best when you're keeping an eye on me. He's like, of course, Master Bruce. And the very end, I didn't pay attention to the bottom part of this page, which I find interesting now. But it's like that's what I'm here for. And it's Alfred with a smirk. And I thought this was just gonna be a badass Alfred moment. But then I noticed the demon Nisa's shadow is under Alfred now.
Yeah.
So, is Alfred not real and still dead?
That might be the case.
I hope that's the case. I hope this
I
story
hope so
doesn't
also.
end with Alfred coming back. Like, if this is a fake Alfred, then I'm like, okay, I don't mind. I've jumped the gun plenty of times on comic books, and I've been proven wrong. I always admit that. But I just don't want Alfred to come back in this way. I think there's such a way better story to bring Alfred back in instead of him just showing up because of magic. You know what I mean? I think magic is always the easy way out. And I don't know. I would prefer him to stay dead at this moment. Because again, what is Alfred going to do if he comes back to life? Bruce has no money. Is he just going to hop around to sewer caves and little houses or whatever? Like,
Does Dick Grayson have to give Alfred his money back?
yeah. Like, what is it? Alfred comes back and this whole story is like, you really just fucking gave all my money away to poor people? You know, he's all pissed. He's like, you know how much money I had, dude? I got invested in Bitcoin early. But like, shit. I don't know, man. So yeah, I hope that Alfred's not real and he's just a figment of Batman's imagination. But I don't care about this story, man.
Yeah,
Like,
unfortunately.
and the thing that sucks is this is going on to February because we're getting the
That's
Lazarus Planet
insane.
stuff, and like, who cares? And I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is worse than a Ra's al Ghul story. And like a lot of the Ra's al Ghul stories are bad because it's just always Lazarus Pit and blah 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 and like world destruction. And it's never anything interesting. But yeah, I don't care about this. I think it's already crossed the supernatural threshold. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind magic in stories, but like it's just too much for me. You know, like it's a
It's
lot.
too much into the supernatural.
Well, it's just like you have to have I feel like you have to have a good knowledge of DC to really appreciate this story. Cuz it's two stories in and we've had so many characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, like I could follow along with World's Finest because it was a lot of mainstream characters, and it's like, all right, I knew a lot of this, but now you're giving me all the magic characters, and I'm like, bro, I fuck, because half
The
of them have like names that I can't even pronounce sometimes. I'm
the
just like, bro.
problem with somebody like Mark Wade and Brian Michael Bendis do the exact same thing.
Mhm.
They write for what they were reading when they were
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, which
They're
is
writing
fair.
the stories that they wanted to write when they were kids,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work for the modern storytelling of what is today.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. If it was its own thing, totally fine. Like World's Finest being its own thing, I think is great. But now they're making it canon, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, bro, that doesn't make sense. Because I think there is a world where you can have the best of both worlds. They just don't need to be in the same universe. This is kind of why I have the mindset of like, if it's not happening in the main Batman title or the main titles, I just don't consider it canon personally. You know what I mean? But DC will try to tell you everything's canon.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, whatever. It just depends on what side of the fence you're going to be on. You know what I mean? Because there's people that will consider everything that happened in the Golden Age and shit canon, and I'm like, bruh, really? Like, you want to bring in all of that? Um, so it just depends, man. But I don't care about the story. This was definitely one of those weeks where the comics just were not great. I also went to check out like Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman came out this week. She got like a new outfit that like had pants. And granted, I there are some Wonder Woman outfits where she has pants that I actually like. Like I like the new 52 one where she got like blades on her arms. A lot of people hated that suit, but I thought it looked dope. But she looks like she has like yoga pants on in this book.
There's an old school suit where she had like basically a biker outfit where she had like the
Yeah,
jacket and the jeans. I really like that suit, but a lot of
yeah.
people didn't. So,
If you look at the suit in the new Wonder Woman book, it looks like yoga pants only because it fades from blue to red, like some of those like spacey yoga pants do, and I'm just like, why?
interesting.
It's really weird. But anyways, that was I don't know, 'cause I don't read a lot of other comics, but I skim a lot of other comics. Like that's what I
Yeah.
do because I'm just like I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just like, all right, let me skim a lot of these books. And because I'm constantly refreshing our shit, I'm like, when the new ones come out, when the new ones come out, because like I'm so far ahead in reading books. Like I already read Lonely City, so
Jesus,
yeah,
already?
it came out. I was
God.
just like, "Oh, I gotta read it." So I was like, I'll check that out. But there's not really. I'm waiting for the next Batman book because I already read Catwoman, so I already know what's happening in that. I'm just like, all right, I'm waiting for Batman, but we won't get that probably for another week or so. Um, but yeah, man, I just like to, I read all the Batman stuff to stay ahead and whatnot. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for this podcast. Clay, you got anything going on this week, man?
This week, I do not have anything going on, but I will say this: Overwatch 2 has come out. I've
Mm-hmm.
played it, and it feels just like Overwatch 1 without all of the toxicity.
Well, I mean, do you have mics on?
I do not have
That's
mics on.
yeah, that's why it doesn't feel. If you don't have mics on, of course everything doesn't feel like toxicity. Because like I could play Call of Duty without mics, and I'm like, oh yeah, it just feels like Call of Duty. But it's having to talk to other people. Like, dude, since like that's the one good thing about being a creator is I've been able to find more people to play with
Yeah,
that I could just be in a party with, and I don't
yeah,
have to suffer through people. Like when I play Apex by myself, I go to a party chat. I don't give a shit about not having a good team because Apex has good comms though.
yeah,
Like you can spam the like somebody there button, and like that's like all right, that's where somebody's in. Everybody look that way. Like they have good comms where you don't need to talk to people,
yeah,
and so I think it's probably why I love Apex. But yeah, other games where you have to rely on good comms with actual people, no, I'm sorry, because people are so lame, dude. Like, I used to be my whole lives were just games. Like I used to be the COD bro. And thinking about like, oh man, there's a lot of people that are like, 10 years younger than me or that are just getting out of high school that their life is just video games right now. And they're the worst of the worst at the moment. Cause I'm like, y'all haven't got to experience life and everything. So it's just like video games is life. And you're just a very different person when you are that. And I'm just like, I'm
yeah.
old now. So I'm just like, oh man, I've been there, been there. So I kind of just let it slide. But man, some people are fucking ridiculous online. Also, a lot of people cry. Like, bro, you suck. I'm sorry. Okay, and you blame it on everybody else. You're garbage. You're not gonna be a pro. You're not
Which
gonna
is
be a
which is
ninja.
why which is why I'm gonna be completely honest. Juice ruined Apex for me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
I was having
100%.
fun with it and I was just playing, and then he was like, Clay, we need to do this. And I'm like, you
Yeah,
know what? Fuck Apex.
I did ruin it. I'm not gonna
Now
lie, because we were playing ranked.
we
That's
were
why.
playing ranked. I will admit though, after playing Overwatch, I was like, should I get back into Apex?
Apex is fun, man. If especially, well, here's the thing: it's a lot of smurfing now, which really sucks. But the thing is, when we were playing too, I think it all mattered about kills, and that really sucked.
Yeah.
Because it was like half the time I was like, "We gotta pick up Clay, and he's down," and he's just like, but. And that's also when I felt like I was really shit at the game too at the time, so teamwork really mattered. But
Yeah.
now, like when me and Flores play, we don't even give a fuck about our third. Like if our third's good, that's awesome. But it's just like, we're way better at the game now because I don't even think I was getting wins at the time when we were playing.
Yeah.
So like I was just like, I just want to get my first win. But now that I can get wins pretty easy, I'm just like, I don't care. Because me and Flores would just go and just fuck around and do shit. But yeah, I'm a menace, man. You want don't play competitive games with me. But my viewers know if you came to the GTA streams and you were on my team and you're the
Fuck.
reason I lost, fuck you. Like because dude, I could carry in GTA hardcore. I could take on 1v5 and all this kind of stuff. But man, some of my teammates would just fall off bridges and shit. I'm like, how? How does somebody do that? Like blew my mind. But I think it made for amazing content. I think Raging Juice makes for amazing content. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to check out any of that content, check out some of my old YouTube channels. The only thing I've been posting on lately is my Shorts channel. Go subscribe to the Shorts channel because I need as many people as I can. Because I think by the end of the year, I need to get 1,000 people to watch, or I think 1,000 people to subscribe, and I need to get a certain amount of views like on it. Or I get put into this new system where I got to get 90 million views to get monetization, which is going to be ridiculous.
Jesus Christ.
So go help me out now before the end of the year. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome.